Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the Great Reddit Expedition. I am your host, Ethan. I am so excited to be starting this podcast. I have found a recent fascination with Reddit stories, and I thought it would be fun to go through a few of them with a few of my friends. Speaking of which, I've got one of them here with me tonight. I would like to introduce Braxton. Go ahead, say something, Braxton.
Oh, hey everyone. Hi, it's me. You're gonna learn more about me throughout this, so that's it.
That'll be awesome.
That's the whole thing. That's my life summed up in a quote.
Great. So glad to hear it. Well, Braxton, can I ask you something?
Yeah, sure, what's up?
Are you much of a Redditor? Do you peruse the Reddits?
I've been known to read. I've read once or twice.
You have
I've even
read
a couple
before.
times.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
I
great.
mean, I have ads underneath some of my posts, okay? So, big time.
Oh, so big shot.
Big time Redditor.
Big shot.
Yeah, no.
How much Reddit karma have you
38
accumulated?
upvotes. 29.
29.
Make way, everyone.
Dude, we
Make
got
way.
a big shot up in this piece.
I know.
All
I
right.
know. But I am a part of r/funny, so that should probably tell you a little bit about me.
Oh, we even got a comedian on our hands.
I
Everyone
would call
point
it
and
that.
laugh at the comedian because he's funny.
Hey, I have. At least you didn't do the tell us a joke thing. Like, oh, you're a comedian. Tell us a joke.
Yeah,
No.
right.
No, that's not funny.
No,
Oh man.
that would have been hilarious. I wish I'd thought of that, but I'm not the funny guy. That's your job.
Yeah, that's me. You're here to read stories. You're the red, I'm the it part.
Yeah.
Yep.
You are the it.
Yeah, I just
The
made a Reddit
IT.
pun. I am the it. It's like I'm a him, but I'm it because we're not sure if I'm human or not. DNA test is pending.
Well, we'll have to have you on another episode so you can update us with those results.
Well, if the updates are wait, hold on.
If the updates are results.
If the results are updated, depending on what I get, I may have to do some more paperwork. But, we'll see.
I sure hope it
Being
does.
a legal human being.
Right.
Was that a reference to that one amazing Vine?
Oh, always and forever.
Okay, cool. Now you're even bringing Napoleon Dynamite into it. I like it. I
am a man of many
It's a
talents,
very obscure
but
reference.
I'm a master of none.
Womp womp.
Did you just hit me with the womp womp? Excuse me, what is your deal, sir?
I don't think I
invite you onto my show, and I ask you to be part of this community, and you go in front of my face, you say womp womp. How dare you, sir? I fart in your general direction. That's what I do.
Whoa.
And
No, I'm
you know
into it.
what?
It's cool.
You know what? Your mother was a hamster. And your father smelled of elderberries.
And your father smelled of elderberries. What of it? Have you smelled elderberries? I don't hate it, personally.
I actually don't know what elderberries smell like, but I assume they smell bad because that's what your dad smells like.
Take, like, the smell of a blackberry and a blueberry and make it smell like 3 times as bad. It's not a great smell. Like, it's not a... For instance, I have a little diffuser that I diffuse certain... Now it sounds like weed when I say certain.
Yeah, you can't exactly... It's not a drug thing.
It's essential oils. Like, I have...
so it's basically drugs.
I have Lang Lang over there, essentially. It's an aromatic drug. It's not a drug. Anyway, I have different scents for that, and I would not... You've fallen
for the pyramid schemes.
Don't worry about it. Listen, all I had to do was get 3 of my friends to sign up, and they just have to get 3 of theirs. It's great. It's great. Great business model. Anyway, elderberries is not a smell you would want to smell anywhere ever. That was my whole point.
Well, thank you for educating us on the smell of elderberries.
But bringing back up Reddit, how much karma do you have, friend?
You know what? That is irrelevant, because today we are going to be browsing.
All right.
I feel like one of you you've heard the classic term when referring to Reddit. You've heard the classic term, the front page of the internet. Have you not?
Uh, I actually haven't. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
This is a
all
new term
right.
for
Well,
me.
for you and for our
Front
audio
page of the internet.
listeners
I thought
at
that was
home.
Google.
No, for you and for our audio listeners at home, Reddit's tagline is the front page of the internet. I'm assuming that
Mm-hmm.
means they want people to find whatever they do on Reddit on the rest of the
Mm-hmm.
internet. But Reddit's just essentially the front door of the house that is the internet.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and if I would have to say if the entirety of Reddit is the front
Mm-hmm.
door, then the subreddit r/AskReddit would be like the little peephole on the front. Although it's
Oh,
like
okay, okay.
inverted, so you can see into the house. It's my analogy broke apart the second I started using doors. But
Yeah, I was gonna say, but keep going.
Ask Reddit is this wonderful subreddit where you can go and ask questions that most people don't think of or are there
Mm-hmm.
just to get people to start thinking and
Oh, I
maybe bring
hate
in a
thinking.
story or two. So,
Okay,
have you ever
okay.
been on the subreddit before? On r/ask Reddit?
Not this specific one. No, this one is new to me. Me with my 29 karma, I'm surprised I haven't.
Well, I find some of these questions very interesting. I would like, as we go through some of these questions, if you wouldn't mind either sharing a story or some of your thoughts.
I can relate, I'll do it.
Awesome.
I will do my best.
Let's do that. So the first question from r/ask Reddit says, "What is the worst secondhand embarrassment you've ever felt?" Now I'll give you a little bit of time to
Secondhand
think.
embarrassment.
I'll
Okay.
give you I'll give you a little bit of time to think. But there is a comment attached to this one that I find personally endearing.
Oh
It's
no.
about a pilot and this lapse of consciousness that makes for a pretty funny
Oh
moment.
no.
It's that was probably the wrong term to say. It really isn't that bad.
Oh
This is
no!
this is
Did
very
Buddy
wholesome, I
fall
promise. I
asleep at the?
promise.
It's not a wheel. At the
No.
plane. Anyway.
No, but this comes from user Captain Valentine.
All right.
So
Shout out
he
my guy Captain Valentine.
he
He
wrote,
knows Jill.
I don't I don't get it.
It's cool. Just keep going.
Okay. Well, he wrote, wasn't there personally, but it has become a bit of a legend at the school. I went to and worked at a fairly large flight school attached to a university. We had a couple thousand
Okay.
people
That's what
enrolled in
I'm
the
talking about.
program that went all the way from 0-hour student pilot to multi engine flight instructor. And on clear, calm days, you could
Okay.
guarantee that there would be a handful of student pilots during their first solo flight. One student, having completed his 2 landings by himself, taxied off the runway and switched over to ground control and asked for clearance to taxi back to the ramp and complete his first solo flight. Ground obliged,
Mm-hmm.
gave him clearance, and congratulated him on a solo well done. Solo student read back the instructions, but for some reason forgot to take his finger off the microphone button. Anyone tuned into ground control could not only hear, but could do nothing to interrupt or stop him as he sang a song of his own invention about how he loved the aircraft he was driving. For 3 whole minutes,
Oh
this poor soul serenaded 50 or so pilots, ramp workers, air traffic controllers, and flight supervisors with "I love you, Cessna, I love you, Cessna," as he taxied back to
no!
the ramp.
No!
Eventually, he
Oh
realized he was on the air,
no!
took his finger off the button, enabling ground control, got back on the frequency, and over the howls of the tower cab crew laughing so hard it hurt, the controller thanked him for the song and would pass along the compliment at the next opportunity.
You did that for like a solid. You said 3 minutes. That's what the
um,
post said.
for 3 whole minutes, yeah, he serenaded about
Oh
50 or so
man.
personnel at this flight school.
Uh. Oh, that must have been the longest walk back from the
Oh my
plane. Oh
gosh. For real
man.
though. I'm sure everyone there though,
Oh
like, was
no.
singing that for days. If it were on the radio, that would top the charts for sure.
Oh,
That is
100%.
phenomenal.
That's hilarious.
I
3 whole minutes of that.
I wonder
Ooh.
how often, because it's like there's radios and just constant like communication, how often people will like
Mhm.
say something over the radio at a flight school or like at an airport and don't mean to.
Uh-huh.
I feel like it's a pretty
That's
common
yeah.
thing.
Hmm.
I feel like when you're trying to take care of something like because they said multi-engine flight instructors, so that's they're flying
Right.
something as big as like a Boeing 747, right?
Hmm.
Having to focus on all these different parts and moving pieces and switches and lights and dials. I'm
Hmm.
sure they'd lose their focus and just say something off the rails that just is like creme de la creme of comments over the radio.
Oh, I'm sure people have said some stuff over the radio, and I'm all here for it. I think we need more crosstalk in radios. Make flights a lot more interesting if you could hear the other cabin and what was going on. You could be like, if you look to our left, we have flight 727. It seems they're talking about if pineapple should be allowed on pizza or not. Feel free to chime in, and then on your screen, where you have like the movie or whatever, it pops up a little thing with a poll, and you get to vote on whether you agree on what the other cabin is talking about or not, and then they get one of us. Make
Make it into
flights
a
a lot more
game show.
interactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially. And your pilots are your captains. It's great.
Oh, excuse
I
me.
would go on so many more flights if that was the case.
That sounds like it could be like a reality TV show of some. I would watch
Well,
that.
it's funny you should mention that. I'd like to announce my upcoming project. No, no,
Your
I wish.
passion
But no.
project now from HBO
This has been a
Max.
little something I've been working on. It would be on Max, yeah.
All right, so this second story comes from what is the worst secondhand embarrassment you've ever felt. But this
Hmm.
comment, it's not as long as the other one. It's only a couple sentences, but it is
Okay, okay.
quite embarrassing to say the least. Anyway, it says, was at a dinner party when my friend's mother-in-law asked one of our friends when her baby was due. She wasn't pregnant.
Okay.
Anyway, mother-in-law should have simply apologized, but instead doubles down with something to the effect of, well, it sure looks like you're pregnant.
Oh no!
Yeah, that
No!
is
Wait,
like
seriously?
yeah. No, this is a
Oh,
comment from Beneficial Salt 6773. And every
it was bad the
comment,
first time.
yeah, every comment after this is just like, why? Why would you do that? You're an idiot. What? No,
Yeah,
you
no,
don't say that.
completely
You don't
fair.
do that.
Why would you? Ugh, she doubled down on it?
She
Well, it
doubled
sure looks
down.
like you do.
It sure
Huh?
looks like you.
I'm sorry.
Just I
Ooh.
imagine like the whole dinner afterward, like I'm pretty sure everyone would have lost their. I know I would have lost my appetite if I had
Oh,
heard
100%.
somebody say
No,
this. Just like
the mother-in-law finished her. You said mother-in-law, right?
yeah, mother-in-law was the one who doubled
This
down.
this seems like a very mother-in-law thing to do.
Hmm.
Shout out to all the mother-in-laws out there. Um, I'm kidding.
Not my
All are
mother-in-law.
great.
She's
Unless you're
great.
not. Are you?
Eventually.
I wasn't even invited. That's crazy. I. Oh, in the future. Hey, what up,
Hmm.
Diane? How's it going,
Diane.
dude?
If my
If you
future
get
mother-in-law
married
is named Diane.
is named Diane. First off, called it. So I need like 3% royalties for that. But
3% royalties of what? I'm not. There's like no monetary
I just want
transaction
3%
involved here.
royalties. That's it. No, that's it. It's not that deep. The audience will they'll explain. But
Okay.
anyway, it seems like a very mother-in-law thing to do. This kind of seems like the type of person that just is unaware of their surroundings. I can almost guarantee no one else finished their plate of food.
No.
But hers, squeaky clean. You would have thought the plate was brand new out of the dishwasher. That thing didn't have an ounce of food, a stain, a smear, or anything on it afterwards.
Yeah.
And then now they also definitely have family parties without her.
So, I want to
Man.
move on to a different post now. This one
Okay, okay.
is in my opinion, it's one of the most genius at being thought provoking because it takes a very common, very well understood practice and flips it on its head. So from
Okay.
user JamieCanDude69, the post says, if people
Nice.
used breakup lines instead of pickup lines, what would some of them be? Do you want to go through some of these?
I like
There's a few
I
really good
like this already.
ones.
Please, please go through these.
All right. Hey, are you an anchor because you've done nothing but weigh me down?
Oh,
The next one, hey baby, are you in a tunnel because we're breaking up?
yeah, that's just funny. If anyone ever broke up with me like that, I'd probably laugh. I'm not
It's
gonna
pretty
lie.
it's pretty
That's the
good.
kind of stupid humor that makes me laugh. It's so stupid.
Okay,
Yes, it is.
we're
I can
switching
actually tell.
to another post. This one is from London Dude 123.
Great name.
It
Wonder
says
where he's from.
it says people who can fall asleep within 8 seconds of their head hitting their pillow. How do you fall asleep within 8 seconds of your head hitting your pillow? This one doesn't have a ton of great responses. There's a couple good ones I want to point out, but I picked this one mostly because this is me. I am the guy that falls asleep within 8 seconds of my head hitting my pillow.
Okay, must be
I
nice.
I I have been known to sleep in bizarre positions, such as sitting up, standing, or leaning. And yes,
Leaning. How
I
much of a
do
lean are we talking here?
like up against a wall or
Are
a
you,
counter or something, like where where you have your arm
are,
up and you're just kind of like pressed up against it.
okay,
I
okay.
have managed to fall asleep
I
in some very strange locations and positions,
Yeah, that's definitely a strange location
but I am able to
against a
fall
wall.
asleep pretty much anywhere. And once I'm asleep, I'm dead asleep. Anyway, I have this one that's pretty cool from Lapey 20M. They
Okay.
said, I'm a firefighter, and my one partner says what he likes least about me is my ability to fall asleep so fast after returning from a call. It helps me to be
hmm
physically tired, much easier to fall asleep when your body has been engaged in physical activity during the day. I try to lay perfectly
True.
still and not allow myself to scratch my nose if it itches, for example. I just ignore the itch, and the next thing I know, it's time to get up. I just discovered
Right.
that there are people with an inner monologue and this voice in their head that allows them to have silent discussions and worry about decisions and whatnot. I don't have this. I
Mhm.
don't have voices talking to me. My preference is also to listen to a documentary on YouTube or Netflix. I set a timer on my phone to
Oh.
stop playing after 20 minutes and rarely stay awake till the end. I am very well versed on the first 10 minutes of World War II.
What a way to end that post. That's great.
it's
The
it's
first
great.
10 minutes.
Like obviously it makes sense to be, being physically tired makes it a lot easier to go to sleep. So I think it's
Right. Of
along with the
course.
fact that it's really cool to be a firefighter. It makes sense that they would be
Mhm.
physically tired. But I love that the ending is like I don't have voices in my head. I listen to Netflix and I understand the first 10 minutes of World War II. Like I like to imagine
It's
it's just
so
like the first
random.
10 minutes from when World War II started. Just she knows those exact 10 minutes by heart. She could go back in time to those 10 minutes and know every little thing and do like a Groundhog Day situation. Just be like, that table's gonna fall over right there. That plate's gonna smash. This is Bob. He really likes
Oh,
pancakes.
Groundhog Day. Okay. Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
Just like, I like to
Yeah.
think that they are just they know every little detail about that first 10 minutes of World War II.
And did you actually know what so and so was wearing when World War II started? Because I know. This is kind of history buff that
I have
kind of knowledge every history
no
buff
clue.
wants to have.
I am
It'd
not
just be
a
weird,
World War II buff.
random.
I do not know World War II enough.
I've got a very interesting 10 minutes to enlighten you on.
Oh, great.
You won't
Let me
believe
just,
how it
my bed's right
ends.
here. Let me just climb in and
Wait,
I'll
it's a
lay down.
World War II post, but it's made in the YouTube like clickbait thing. World War II. You won't believe what happened. Like watch to the end
You
or something like
believe,
that.
watch this
You
to
won't
the
believe what
end.
happens at the end.
I watch for 10 minutes and then pass out.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love some of the responses to this comment. Just says, this is obviously an NPC. He's just doing what the script says. A lot of people just
The
responding then with like
script.
generic, like, "Hey, watch it. Fine day with you around. Can I help you?"
Just all the bot comments.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Well, that one doesn't have much else to go off of. So what do you say we move on
That's
to a
very.
different post?
I I do want to ask you one thing because you did bring it up. So you said you are someone who falls asleep rather quickly. Do you have an inner monologue?
I would say I can, but like
Okay,
I can
okay.
turn it off if I don't want it.
Interesting.
I
Huh.
have the ability to like talk to myself in my head, have that inner dialogue. But if
You
I'm
got a
like
switch
really
in there
tired
and
and I
on and
don't,
off.
I just am trying to get to sleep, I can just lay down and have it
Hmm.
do that. Of course, I'm also one of the
Hey,
people that has to play music. My preference for sleeping music right now is the Across the Spider Verse soundtrack. That
interesting.
that one.
That's your sleep music, huh?
That's specifically the Metro Boomin one, where
Well, that's most of them
it's like "Am I
because
Dreaming?"
he
and
produced the album.
well, it's
Yeah,
it's it's not the like the motion picture soundtrack.
I love that soundtrack. Good soundtrack. I guess it'd be an album, not a soundtrack. Good album.
It's a really good album.
But that's your sleep music, huh?
hmm
It's
A
fitting that you would
lot.
pick Am I Dreaming. That's a bit tongue in cheek.
It's really funny. There's only two songs on that entire album that I cannot listen to because they're too high energy. They would keep me awake. But the rest of them
Which
are
ones are
like
they?
very. I can't think of them off the top of my head. I would have to go through my Spotify playlist and
Fake fan.
figure it out.
Fake fan.
But the rest of them are like very calm. They're very slow
They're
and
very
even
chill. Yeah.
tempoed, and so
Hmm.
like it's very easy to fall asleep to them.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Cause I totally thought you were gonna say like lo-fi music or white noise
No,
or
like
something to that effect.
I do that too.
But
I not necessarily
specifically
white
the Across the
noise.
Spider-Verse soundtrack.
Not to say I don't. White noise is a little less preferable, but I do turn it on occasion. Lo-fi,
Hmm.
but I switch through different albums when I'm not in the mood for that one anymore. It just so happens
Right.
that right now it is the Spider-Man soundtrack
That's
that
the main one in your
I am.
current rotation.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
I don't have an inner monologue, but I have a very active brain that just thinks, I think in pictures and visually, and so I just imagine places and can't stop.
you just like
Yeah.
vividly imagine things.
And I like people will talk in my mind, but it's like me remembering a conversation I had, or in if I'm picturing a specific place, something that would happen in that place, almost like a realistic fiction kind of thing. Like it may not necessarily have happened, but it totally could given the circumstance.
Mm.
It's almost like dreaming in a weird way, but
You're
not
just
quite
watching a
dreaming.
movie at that point.
I also have like basically that's essentially what it boils down to. I also have like complete control of my dreams most of the time, but
Mm.
that's another topic for another time.
Well, let's move on to the next topic then. This one
Do it.
comes from user top underscore ad 3380. They posted, "What
Okay.
is your favorite wow, I didn't see that one coming from a relative or friend?" I
Okay.
I
Okay.
picked this one when I initially was going through AskReddit. I picked this one because I feel like most of the time the wow, I didn't see that one coming is like
Hmm.
something that somebody would change about their personality or their
Yeah.
identity. Something that's like
Hmm.
the cotton candy rainbows, happy sunshine loving girl listening
Hmm.
to hard rock or metal.
Yeah.
Like that is very much a wow, I didn't see that one coming. And so I expected a
Uh
lot of
huh.
them to be like that.
Hmm.
Some of them are. Some of them
Very kind
are.
of breaking the norms.
hmm Yeah, I expected them to be like they're shifting the status quo.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
some of
that
them are
wasn't the case.
definitely like that. But there's a couple in
Uh
here
huh.
that I think that is most definitely I didn't see that one coming in a different light. And one
Okay.
of those
Interesting.
it's this comment by user Weird Connections give a very specific
Good name.
example about her mom and cats. So
Okay.
she says, "My sister, much older and not living with us at the time, had a cat that had kittens. They were ready to go to new homes around the same time that my dad died. Me being 12 and
Mhm.
sad really wanted to keep the favorite one, the runt of the litter. She let me have the kitten, but we both agreed to hide it from my mom as long as possible. My mom absolutely despised cats, so much so that when my sister was younger and would bring them home, she would conveniently leave the door open so they'd run away or straight up bring them to the shelter. She vehemently refused
Okay.
to ever allow a cat in her house. So I got away with hiding my kitty for about a week. I was a chronic after school napper and was knocked out when she came to check on me randomly. The kitten peeked out
Mhm.
from under the bed and she literally screamed because she thought it was a rat at first. She was upset. She went to her room with the kitten and probably called my sister to come take it home. Surprisingly, when I went to her room about an hour later, they were just cuddling and watching TV. She did let me keep it,
Oh.
I assume because I was grieving at the time. But she really did enjoy that cat. Eventually, when I moved
Huh.
out and she moved houses, she took the cat with her. A few years later, after my kitty had passed away, she went out and got a new kitten all on her own accord. Like, literally without
Huh.
telling me. I went to visit and was like, "Whose cat is that?" And she just goes, "Oh, that's mine. His name's Squash." I never saw that coming, and she says she still hates cats to this day, but she likes her cats. She's actually considering getting two
Uh,
more soon, so Squash has some friends.
okay, so she's in denial.
That's pretty much what it is. She's
That's what I'm getting from this story. She's a cat lover, but she doesn't want to admit she's a cat lover.
mm-mm.
So I guess just like, oh, I'm not a pet person. Anyway, here's my 3 cats, 4 horses, 8 dogs, 16 hamsters, and my fish, Geraldo.
Geraldo. I
Geraldo.
got him from the carnival next door.
Yeah. Fun fact, I did get fish at a birthday party that was supposed to be a carnival. That's another story, but yeah.
You got fish at a carnival?
Technically, it was a birthday party, but it was made out to be like a mini carnival. There were like games and activities and stuff. It was a good time. Good wholesome story. I liked
Good
it.
wholesome story.
What did people respond with under that?
Um,
Anything fun sticking
Nothing
out?
super. Just a lot of like what we talked about. They said, that's so cute compared to the other horror stories. And as a cat lover, I was on the edge of my seat, terrified reading that story, wondering if it was a psycho mom. But I was very happy to be wrong. All these wholesome comments.
Yeah, we love a
I
good wholesome comment.
I don't know what they mean by horror story, but I've got a good one about a local town vigilante during the Great
I'm
Depression.
sorry. I'm sorry. The what? There
A
was a
local.
Batman in 19 like when was the
Oh,
Great
no, no, no,
Depression?
no.
Was that
Not
19?
Batman. Cheese Man.
Jeez, man. Here, kids, have some Parmesan.
Oh, no. Oh, no, no. It gets much better than that. Allow me to
Oh
read this story
no.
from Rougarou985. My great
Great name.
grandfather and his two brothers went to prison and not college for 4 years for robbing trains. I assume this is what would
Okay.
be the title if you were posting it on a story subreddit. They had
Yeah.
sold the family dairy farm just a couple years before the Great Depression and started a general store. They were all in their late teens, early 20s with multiple kids each already. During the Depression,
Wow.
Kraft Cheese started sending super cheap fake cheese and other dairy products into the area, which were undercutting all the
Mm-hmm.
local dairies. My grandpa and his
Okay.
brothers realized that they still depended on the local dairy industry as customers, so they robbed the trains of all the Kraft cheese and threw it in fields to rot. The local law just
Interesting.
couldn't seem to catch the bandits that were trying to save the town economy, and a reporter from Chicago was on one of the trains and got a picture of their faces, and they all went to
Oh
college for a
no.
few years. College is in quotations.
Yeah.
The OP original poster says, "When I graduated college, my grandmother said I was the first in the family. I asked, what about great grandpa? And she said, oh no, he went to prison, not college. But no one else in the family ever knew either." When they got out, they were all voted as town councilmen. Literally had customers for life. My great grandmother ran the store while
Really?
they were in prison, and she went on to run it until she retired at 93 years old. Great grandpa died in his 60s.
Wow. What was that last line? Great grandpa what?
Great grandpa died in his 60s.
Ah, gotcha. It cut out a little on my end.
I love a good wholesome vigilante story, especially one
Yeah.
about somebody who is trying to rely on the dairy industry. It's the more I say it out loud, the more bizarre it sounds.
The more
It's
ridiculous it is.
because you hear
It's
like
definitely out there.
when you read the like the first line and it says they went to prison for robbing trains, you're expecting like this cool like
Hmm.
bank robber story, right? Somebody who's like, oh,
Oh
we're gonna
yeah.
take all the gold and loot. No, this is a guy that
I was
was like
thinking like
Kraft
Jesse
mac and
James.
cheese. Kraft mac and cheese is just, ooh, they're not so good at delivering the right kind of dairy. Let's get rid of it. And just proceed
Guys,
to
craft cheese
annihilate.
needs to go. This is how I think of it. I like to think that, and obviously this wasn't the case, but let's say, just for the sake of this thought experiment here, this had nothing to do with the town economy. This dude just hated craft cheese so much. I'm imagining it's like American cheese because that's usually what
Yeah.
most people call like fake cheese because it's
Mm-hmm.
very almost rubbery.
It's
Um,
super fake, super cheap fake cheese is how they put it. So yeah, I
Super
would
cheap
expect something
fake
like
cheese.
American cheese.
And I would just think he hates American cheese so much. He's like a real cheese stickler. He orders like all these fancy offshore? He gets all these very fancy I don't know why I
the
said offshore.
This is like a
Very
mafia
fancy
boss now. This
cheeses.
isn't like
Yeah,
this is
he's
like The
got an offshore
Godfather, but
account.
with Kraft cheese.
Yeah, no, he's the cheese father, is essentially what it is.
The cheese father.
And come to me on the day of
You come to me on the day
I
my
can't even.
daughter
Nope. I have to
is to
stop.
buy cheese.
I have to stop.
Great.
He was supposed to get like his Gouda shipment or whatever. I don't know cheeses. And boom, Kraft cheese. It's the Kraft cheese, specifically the singles that they make for like sandwiches.
Hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the ones that you
Yeah.
find
No,
in like a
it's
7-Eleven sandwich that
that
nobody
no one
buys,
buys.
but they sit on the
Absolutely.
shelf.
It's just a pack of those, but
Hmm.
in like 1900s wrapping, so it's handwritten on there because
Yeah.
everything was handwritten. They didn't have typewriters
They
or
didn't
the
have
printing press.
any
Everything
kind
was
of
handwritten in the 1900s.
mechanical
This is
inking
true.
process.
Oh, not even inking. This was quill and ink, my friend.
I
That's
like
very
the
funny. I was totally thinking Jesse James.
I don't know who Jesse James is. I don't.
Oh, oh, that's okay. It's just like your classic like train robbery where like they come on like think of like Western times where they come on
Like the
horseback and they
Lone
rob the
Ranger.
train. They get the money and jump off. They're outlaws and criminals. They have wanted dead or alive posters. That's the kind of guy Jesse James was.
Ah, okay. I'll have to look up Jesse James after this. Quite the story, especially a family story to tell. I wonder if they like sit around like at the holidays and tell that story over and over again. We'll do one more post. Um,
All right, all
This
right.
one this one comes from sleepy_sloth 4. It's titled When was the last time you had one of those oh, you're one of those people moments when talking to someone new? I found
Okay.
this story. This one's a recent story. It's from 2 weeks ago by this user called Caruthers. It's not as good, not as crazy as the other ones, but it's definitely one of those that probably also belongs under like secondhand embarrassment. Anyway, it says my family had moved my grandma out to be in a home near us in her final several years, so we could better take care of her than
Okay.
she'd been receiving in her home state. Where one of my uncles
Mhm.
was unable to take care of her. He had serious health issue himself, and another is a man child who was just likely to disappear for a year as he was to take her to the doctor. My
Oh
dad's
boy.
never been super close to my uncle, but of course that tension was exacerbated quite a bit. We had a necessarily set schedule to visit my grandma. My dad would be something like Mondays and Wednesdays, mom was Tuesdays, Thursdays, I had Fridays. And my uncle would sometimes throw off by just showing up unannounced and not communicating anything in an effort to display that he was helping too. Anyway,
Okay.
I say that to establish my uncle's wife. I will never call her my aunt. She was a driving force
Oh boy.
behind a lot of the chaos. My mom had told me that she was just an insane lady, but knowing my uncle, I figured it was much more likely that my uncle was the insane one and she was just along for the ride. And then they have, like, you know, what do they call it in the appendix? It says "see also," like a reference kind of thing.
Oh,
Anyway,
yes. Yes.
it's like
Yeah, I think reference. I think that's what it's called.
it's like notated like that. Anyway, it says "see
Okay.
also."
Okay.
It says "see also his previous three wives."
Oh boy.
Anyway,
But he pulled out the history books for this one.
they really went in deep. We never crossed paths until my grandma eventually passed away and we met at the funeral. Of course, I was trying to be
Hmm.
gracious at the funeral. No, it's what my grandma would have wanted, and not trying to let any preconceptions color my interactions. My grandma had
Hmm.
requested I give her eulogy, so I put a lot of thought into it, gave it even though I was sweating through my suit doing so, and it seemed to go well. The family goes to the mausoleum where she is to later be entombed next to my grandpa. This is my first official exchange with my uncle's wife.
Okay.
She says, I played Scrabble with her too, referencing a reference about how I used to play Scrabble with my grandma all the time. Me, oh
Hmm.
yeah? Her, yeah, I used to win a lot. Me, oh, her, yeah, it was a good eulogy, but I could have done better. Honestly, I
Wow.
don't even remember the exact words that prefaced I could have done better, because those are the only words that
Wow.
really stuck with me. I can't remember another
Those are the
time in
only ones
my
that matter.
right. Those are the only ones that will leave an
Wow.
impact on this man. Uh,
Hmm.
I can't remember another time in my life I was rendered totally speechless. But yep, that did it. Being told someone could have bested my eulogy at my grandmother's final resting place, not long after I delivered said eulogy. So at some point in
That
the car
is
ride back, as I regained my senses, I told my mom, "So, Uncle's wife really is a crazy psycho, huh?" Yeah,
wow. Just
that was my
I'm having
reaction
trouble
to
putting it
reading
into
this.
words.
Mm-hmm.
The audacity.
Right? It's like it's something that
You
is
don't
just
say
so
that.
out there. It doesn't feel real. Because that's not something you
No.
do at a funeral. That's not something you should do anywhere,
Nope.
first of all.
I was
But
gonna say, if this had been years down the line, still bad. At the
mhm,
funeral is absolutely wild.
at the funeral, not long after he had given it, so this was still
Uh
fresh on
huh.
everyone's minds. But it's like
Dude,
it's that one
I could have done
specifically
better.
I could have
Oh,
done better
oh, like
on
I'm
giving the
sorry.
eulogy.
What?
She also, I noticed
Wow.
during the story, she wasn't really like present in the grandma's life. At least not that anything the original poster um
It
made
doesn't
out to be.
doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, like they
I wouldn't
specifically
want
mentioned
someone
dad
like
and mom
that.
took shifts and they took a shift,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
uncle would show up randomly on occasion, but they never mentioned that the aunt would come with the uncle or that she would do
Yeah,
anything to come visit the grandma on her own. It's just like,
it kind of seems like one, and I don't know this person, but
mm-hmm,
kind of seems like one that wouldn't help out unless it directly benefited her.
mm-hmm,
Kind of
yeah,
seems like one of those. Just, I can't get over the I could have done better. That's
right.
insane.
I hope she received some kind of like retribution from her family for saying something like that, because that is not something that should go unpunished. That there should be
It sounds like
consequences for that.
absolutely there should. It sounds like she's not really an active part of family anything. And it's one thing like if you said it and you're like, that's not what I meant by that, and apologize for it. Still not great, but at least you showed that you're trying to make it better. But no, she didn't. She didn't.
Mhm.
She just said it with her chest, just fully, this is what I think I could have done better. And then that's it, is crazy. The
It's
audacity.
very, yeah. Well, Braxton, thank you for joining me for this episode of the Great Reddit Expedition. It's been a blast.
Thank you for having me. I had fun. I enjoyed the segments and,
Had some
the
good.
discussion and everything.
I feel like there were some good stories
Yeah.
in there. Some good
Oh,
little
there were
Reddit
definitely some good
bits.
ones.
And I know I learned a little bit more about you from these discussions.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks for being on the show today.
absolutely.
Thank
I
you.
loved being here. So
Thank you to our audio
thank you for
listeners
having
at
me.
home. I appreciate you listening to this. If you listen to this all the way through, I am much more impressed. Thank you very much for dedicating part of your life to this and listening to probably some dumb, but hopefully some funny or interesting conversation as well. Hopefully that on the next episode I'll have a new guest. Depends on when I decide to record this next. But I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you all later. Goodbye.